Hi there. Welcome to my channel where I read books for children and adults alike. So today's book is called Tales from History, A Pony with a Rider. The story of Marguerite Henry and Misty. Written by Thea Feldman, illustrated by Rachel Sanson. It was July 1946. Something very special was happening on Chincoteague Island in Virginia. It was an event called the Pony Penning. Thousands of people were gathered along the shore. Then they started cheering. In the distance, they could see the ponies swimming in the ocean. Right next to Chincoteague is an island called Assateague. Many wild ponies live there. For most of the year, these ponies run free. They eat grass and drink a lot of fresh water. However, during the pony penning, the townspeople gather up some of the wild ponies. They all work to the shore. They all walk to the shore. Then the ponies swim from Assateague Island to Chincoteague Island. Once they reach Chincoteague, the ponies gallop through the town. People attend the pony penning from all over the world. Marguerite Henry was one of those people in 1946. She wrote books for children and was looking for new story ideas. While Marguerite was at the pony penning, she heard about a beautiful pony named Misty. Marguerite decided to visit the Beebe family who owned Misty. Misty was still a baby pony, which is called a foal. She had many white markings on her hair. One marking looked like the United States turned sideways. There were many ponies on Chincoteague Island, but only one pony who looked like this. Marguerite was dazzled by Misty's beauty. She wanted to take Misty home and write a story about her. Marguerite offered to write about the Beebe family in her story too. The Beebes thought that was a great idea. They agreed that Marguerite could borrow Misty, but when Misty was old enough to have her own foals, she would need to return home. Marguerite returned to her farm in Illinois. That winter, she received a pony from Chincoteague, but this pony didn't look like Misty. She looked more like a goat. Marguerite thought that the Beebes had sent the wrong pony. Marguerite was sad, but loved the new pony anyway. The pony settled into her new home. She liked eating carrots and munching on oats. Finally, spring arrived. The pony shed her winter coat and revealed her white markings. The pony was Misty after all. Meanwhile, Marguerite had been busy writing her new book. In 1947, she published Misty of Chincoteague. The story was based on everything that Marguerite had seen at the pony penning. The book became very popular. Many people wanted to meet Misty. She visited museums, school assemblies, and libraries for story hour. Misty shook hooves with her fans. She liked having her ears scratched and her neck stroked. She liked all the carrot treats too. One time, Misty and Marguerite were invited to a conference for librarians. It was on the 7th floor. Misty rode her very first elevator. Back at home, Misty had many friends. She lived with a horse called Friday and a cat called Mom Cat. There was also Brighty the donkey, who inspired another one of Marguerite's books. Every year, Marguerite held a birthday party for Misty. Many children attended the parties. They gave presents to Misty. In 1957, Misty was old enough to have her own foals. Marguerite loved living with Misty, but she needed to keep her promise. It was time for Misty to go home. Misty's farewell party was her biggest party ever. There were more than 300 guests. She even had a cake with carrots for candles. Misty returned to Chincoteague and became a mother to 3 beautiful foals. Marguerite missed Misty, but she knew that the pony belonged in Chincoteague. No matter where they were, Marguerite and Misty would always be connected by the book Misty of Chincoteague. Facts about Chincoteague ponies. Facts about Marguerite Henry. Most of the wild Chincoteague ponies do not actually live on Chincoteague Island. Instead, they live on the nearby Assateague Island. The Chincoteague ponies on the island are feral. That means that a long time ago they used to be domestic and live among humans, but today they are wild. The pony penning still takes place every year in July. During the pony penning, some people buy ponies to take home. This way, the wild ponies that stay on Assateague Island have enough food to eat. Wild ponies stick together in small groups called bands. Marguerite Henry was born on April 13, 1902 and died on November 26, 1997. When Marguerite was a young girl, she enjoyed visiting her father's printing shop. Marguerite also wrote stories about other ponies, including one called Stormy, Misty's Foal. Marguerite had her first magazine article published when she was 11 years old. Marguerite wrote 59 books during her lifetime. Guys, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and check this book out at your local library or a bookstore. And remember to click the subscribe and the share button. Thank you for your time.